Good evening. Welcome to Allergic to Stupidity. This is what happens when I take a night off. I started rambling, and it was not connected at all. So, yesterday was an interesting day. Just to give everybody the smiles. I was driving downtown on one of my many. I think I had four clients yesterday. Clients, and somebody decided that driving down the middle of the road, the center of the road, his side of the road, was not his smart move. Instead, we'll drive up the side of the road. So instead of being a ditch, it's like a little hill. And drove right over top of somebody's compost bucket, blue boxes, garbage bags, everything. The cops ended up there. There was stuff spewed everywhere. It's like, really, people? And then farther up the road, I had like four great full-size fire trucks flying up the road. And I should have just stayed in bed. A couple of cruisers going up the road, sirens flying, everything. Found out on Facebook there was a house fire. Great. And around about the same time, somebody decided to go through an intersection in my area and not bother to stop. And so there was a major car accident. There's my three things. It was like, yeah, who put what in the water yesterday? Because it was definitely one of those days. It was also greasy outside. But yesterday, as I was watching the news and just looking for our new liberal candidates for leadership, one of the things that I spotted was a Canadian's perspective on what's going to happen if the tariffs go on. And now this economist was out of Ontario, so I'm assuming what he's talking about is straightly for Ontario, though a lot of it would apply for the whole country. And his was we would lose roughly 500,000 jobs. I am going to assume that's across the country, but there's still an awful lot of jobs to lose. He also said it will push Canada into a recession, which would also push the U.S. into a recession. So then it got to me, one of my lines that I said to students lots and lots of times, that I say to a lot of people, don't whine and cry. Don't yell and scream, because it's not going to solve the problem. Yelling and screaming at somebody because it didn't go the way you wanted to isn't going to fix the problem. It's only going to make people upset. If you don't like the way your life is going, figure out which way you want it to go and then make a plan and go that way. Okay? So as we're looking at the possibility of a recession coming to Canada and the U.S., because A and B is going to happen together, we have to look at how can we readjust our spending. And some things you can't change. So I can't change my mortgage payment. I can't change all my automatic withdrawals. They're set in stone until I renegotiate them. But I can change things like how often I go downtown so I can use less gas. Well, that's environmentally friendly anyway. So, hey, that's up my page. Things like the amount of money I spend on food. Okay? Not waste my food, which January's zero waste, food waste, is going really, really well with me. I think I've only found one thing so far this month, and we are on the 17th. The only thing that's gone into the compost outside of eggshells and tea bags and coffee grounds is, as I was making a salad today, it was the tail end of my celery, and it had gone floppy. So I could have put it into vegetable stock, but I've got a stockpile of vegetable stock, so but it's very rare, and I'm only taking my compost bucket out to the dinner plate, as I call it, like twice a week now. So that means I'm not wasting as much. So there's one way, but we need to change how we're going to look at what's happening, and instead of being upset, we need to be more upbeat and find creative ways to make things stretch. So for me, my parents' generation, for lots of you would be your grandparents' generation. Think of the victory gardens we used to grow during World War II. during the Depression. We got to keep a smile on our face, or we are going to go down. Like, it'll take us down, and that's not what we want. We want to be upbeat. We want to be creative. We want to work together as a team. So things like, you have hens and your little girl needs, or boy needs a little help with math, make you a deal. Come over once a week and help her with the math if I can get a dozen eggs. An hour of my time and I get a dozen eggs. I know eggs only cost me whatever they cost these days, $5.49, $6. And I normally get $35 for tutoring. But that sort of helps both sides. They couldn't afford the $35. I get free eggs out of it. Yeah, I can do that. Right? So that's what we need to be doing. We need to be becoming creative. So that's one thing that we can do as we look at this. Now, our government and our leaders have been developing a stereotypical Canadian thing on how to attack or approach these tariffs. And they're sort of going, this is step one, this is step two, this is step three. They're not, the Liberal, Justin Trudeau and the premiers are not just coming through and going to say, we're going to do all of this. They're doing a very stepped approach. We're going to hurt you a little bit. We're going to make it tougher for you. And if you keep it up, we'll add more and we'll add more. So that Trump can see that we're serious about it and you can't walk all over us. And I like that approach. Instead of just coming out with fists flying, let's take a measured approach with the things that symbolically, as they said, they didn't give the whole list, but they did give, some of them were symbolic, and one of them was tariffs on Florida orange juice. So the guy today was just saying, go stock up on orange juice, right? They did the same thing last time. And the other things, the things that they're going to hurt a little bit at the beginning and then slowly increase the pressure. So I really like that approach. It would be interesting to see the whole list. That article I was listening to only gave us 2 or 3, which then leads us, since I was just talking about Justin Trudeau, I've been trying to find out about the candidates for the new leader of the Liberal Party. And Mark Carney came up yesterday or Thursday, and Kristen Freeland came out today. And there's 2 others. Now, one of them is still in the race, but somebody asked him about his French. He went, nope. It's like, okay, that's not a really good start. It's not even like when the Lieutenant General was appointed. She said, I don't speak French, but I'm going to learn. I'll try really hard to learn. So she went and learned, and she has some French. It's not fantastic, but at least she was willing to go learn it. And this guy went, nope. Okay, that's not going well. And the 2, if that's that guy, there's another guy, and I've never heard of these guys. So they're just quiet little MPs that are doing their job, but they're not well known. But the 2 that are up are Mark Carney and Krista French. I like the idea of Mark Carney for a couple of reasons. A, he has been in business and economy, so he understands that world. But my big one is, if you look at the Liberal leadership over memorable history, so we're not talking 1867, which started with Conservative anyways, with Sir John A. Macdonald. But all our recent, as in the last 50 or 60 years, all the Liberal leaders have been Ontario East. And just the ones I can rhyme off right away. Well, Justin Trudeau, he's from Montreal. Chrétien is from Quebec. Pierre Trudeau was from Quebec, bless his soul. John Turner was born in England, settled in Ontario. Pearson, who won a Nobel Peace Prize, Ontario. I think Mark Carney's from Edmonton. I think it would be really good for the Liberal Party if we got Mark Carney for being the new MP. I just like the look of him. I like how he talks. I like how he holds himself. His liberal policies are going to be liberal policies. Like, that's a party thing. But your leader needs to be somebody who presents, who makes people feel comfortable, which Pierre Poilievre doesn't. And neither did Michael. Oh, shoot. He was from Quebec, too. He's not a liberal leader. He never became prime minister. He just was the leader of the Liberal Party and was in for 2 or 3 years or whatever. It wasn't very long. But he's from Quebec, too. I didn't like him because he kept going around ranting about and raving about how wonderful and smart he was because he went to Harvard. And I was like, I want you to tell me what you're going to do for my country, not where you got your whatever degree. So I really like the idea of Mark Carney. He Bank of Canada, so he understands the economy and that business, but he's from the West, and I think that would really help bring the West back onto the liberal platform, knowing that there's somebody that understands their world. So that's my thought about that, because I think he would really help to bring the economic point of view that we're going to have with the tariffs. And then the other chit chat, or the other thing with this is all coming with the tariffs, is for once, Doug Ford did a great thing. He does do it occasionally, but we all know Trump has his red cap that says "Make America Great Again," and he came off with a blue one that said "Canada's not for sale." And he has come on stage multiple times going, "We need to do this as Team Canada." He said, yes, every premier wants to be concerned about their own province. That comes with being the premier for province. And he was upset at Danielle Smith, who refused to sign the agreement between all the provinces, all the premiers, the territories, and the 10 provinces about how they were going to approach this tariffs. And she went, no. And it was like, you're dividing us. That's exactly what Trump wants, because that's what bullies want. And Doug Ford came forward and said, no, we have to do this as a team. But it was, then he's coming up legit, and some of his ideas that are on the table, but it's, let's, to sort of, when all else fails, we'll kind of do this, which his is to turn off the hydro to the states just south of us. But his is like, that's the last ditch thing. You're not going to get the messages. So, anyways, that's my chit chat today. It's really about the tariffs are coming. More than likely, somebody who knows Trump says when he says he's going to do it, he's going to do it. Other people are trying to downplay it and say, oh, well, no, he's just talking points. He's just trying to bring people to the table. It's like, this isn't trade agreements. He's using the tariffs to scream and yell about people coming across the border. This isn't about trade agreements, which was the last time when he renegotiated that. So, I said when he says he's going to do it, he does it. So, we need to prepare ourselves for what is possibly going to hit us next Monday. And mine is, let's not all whine and cry about the price going up or the loss of jobs, which won't be instant on the loss of jobs, but we'll be seeing it over the winter and early spring. So just be prepped. That's mine. But let's keep a smile on our face. And let's watch that Liberal leadership and just see who ends up being the new leader of the Liberal Party. I really, really hope it's Mark Carney. And for once, it's a thumbs up for dear old Doug Ford, because I did like his cap that said Canada's not for sale, and his push, because he's always often pushed against the federal government, going, well, we're the biggest province. It's like, so I don't care. But his is, we need to do this as Team Canada, and that's what we need to all do. We need to put all the entitled attitudes I keep running to, and let's all work together for the betterment of everybody in this country, from West Coast to East Coast, from the far north down to Point Pelee. Let's all work together for the betterment of everybody. Anyways, take care. Have a good night. See you next time.